So, welcome again to 13th March 2015 India Market Review by the Bangalore Investors Club. This is Dr. Musa here. So we're going to jump into our IMR as per our usual routine. As you already know, today Friday the 13th. I don't know if you believe in superstitions. I don't, but sometimes you wonder if the sort of market action that we had today, if there's something behind it. So as you know, you should be able to see the Nifty on your screen, and there was a small bounce that we had on the Nifty yesterday, not today, and I think a lot of people were happy with that, and that's the bounce. If you can see that there, and it bounced off from the uptrend line, so folks would have been happy. But the thing to note, if you were looking at that, is that the volumes were really low yesterday, and the indicators continued to show some sort of weakness at higher levels. Today the market opened on positive note, opened actually at 8,844, which was a good 40-50 points higher than yesterday's close, so people were happy in the morning. And at least, I don't know if you're watching the chart, the websites and news and all, they're like, oh yeah, things are okay and we might sustain these high levels. But within the first half an hour, 1 hour, things deteriorated and the market started falling. And what's important to note on the Nifty chart today is that we have a very big red candle, and those of us who know candlesticks, we know that the significance of that. And more importantly, the uptrend line has been broken down, and that's an uptrend line. Even if you look at the yellow one, is from last February. So given this, it is at 8,650, 8,630 important support level, and by the looks of it, it would perhaps break down even more. It's a pretty strong down move that we have as of today. So just to go back to last week's IMR, we had talked about how valuations were expensive. We had spoken about how where is that, 13th, yeah, how valuations were expensive and how not. So this is last week's notes, and we had mentioned about how any up move should be used to go light on the spot portfolio. We had also mentioned about, if it goes higher, about selling out of the money calls or buying at the money puts, or even out of the money puts. I'm not sure if any of you did that. If you did do that, then you'd definitely be making some money today, and most likely this profit would increase tomorrow. So overall, we said the bias is negative, but we did say that there will be stocks and sector specific news where one should be long after selling rather than selling or short on the specific news, right? So that was just last week's quick review, and as you can see, today the market has done a really nice follow-up of that view. Actually, that's the wrong way to put it. The market, well, our view turned out to be in line with what the market did. That's the more correct way of saying it. And if you look at the sector indices, etc., we're looking at the BSE Auto now, and while that has been flat for about several weeks, it's now showing weakness, and there's no strength in the auto place right now. This 50-day moving average is something that could get broken down and could fall another 1,000 or 1,500 points. On the consumer durables place, some strength, I would say, but I think with the overall Nifty the way it is, wouldn't be looking at buying anything. This is capital goods, and one would have hoped that this level would provide support, but I think given the size of this the candle today and the weakness in the indicators, not very hopeful about capital goods holding out either. They had they done a nice breakout as we discussed late Feb, but not been able to stay high, And if we look at this breakout that happened, well, of a multi-year level, uh, capital goods stocks coming back to this level of around 16,800, which would be about 500 points lower from where it is. About 4% correction is a distinct possibility. Then looking at FMCG, so FMCG also showing weakness now. That trend line is really important. The yellow one, not yet there, but likely to come there tomorrow, rather next week. And here we had the healthcare, but this is healthcare from the BSE Bombay Stock Exchange, and you can see that seems to be a stop there to that rise now. And then we have metals, and as you can see, metals has broken a very important support of 9,850. This is a multi-year support, and we did mention last week that if this breaks, then it could really break down. So you're seeing multiple supports getting broken, so it would not be very wise to perhaps look at longs. We did say last week, if you remember, that this up move, or rather this down move in metals, could be a test of that support, but midweek itself it really just broke through that, and today it's just going down. So metals could go lower, and the level to watch out for would be around 9,270, maybe even 9,000. On the metals side, so metal, which was one of the sectors we said was a possible support, has also broken down, so that's definitely not good news. Then the mid cap sector, or the mid cap segment, that's also showing weakness now. And then the PSUs, really nothing much to say, but several months of sideways move, and the PSU going down. Looks like 7,500 on the PSU index is going to happen. The 200-day moving average here, right there, is definitively broken today. That's where it is. You can see this line there, and that support is also likely to get broken in my view. Small caps, we were talking about a potential ascending triangle in small caps last week, and looks like if we just even extend this, then there's a tentative breakdown of that, and with the overall market falling, then this uptrend line, this yellow trend line that we have put, is on the risk of being broken, and the chances are quite high that it is going to break down. Sensex, so the bank nifty, now the bank nifty also decisively broken down, no doubt about it. Attempts yesterday, notice that there's a filled green candle, so those of us who know candlesticks know that that's not a good sign in the at least the short-term implications of that, right? And then going down to perhaps if it breaks 18.5, then 18,000 is quite possible on the bank nifty. So banks also bad. PSC power, again late Feb we had talked about this breakout after the budget. So far this level of 2,200 seems to be holding, but I think next week is crucial. If that breaks, then 2150, 2100 is a possibility on BSE power. Okay. BSE realty, well, interesting. So DLF, the big weight in realty, the promoters got a relief on that they can approach the capital market. So that's one thing that the stock has positively reacted to, probably, and that's one reason why the index has perhaps not fallen so much. But it'd be interesting to see what happens next week with a bunch of long-term moving averages sitting right there, and whether this now breaks down to maybe 1600 or lower. Then the CNX IT. So in spite of the depreciating rupee or the appreciating dollar, whichever way you like to look at it, that's also now showing weakness. The MACD crossover happened late Feb. As you can see, there was a negative divergence which we spoke about. So IT is no longer a safe hiding place, and maybe it will go down to even 12,000 on the IT side. CNX mid cap, Nifty Junior, yeah. So okay, CNX Energy, so even that's broken down, right? FMCG, Infra, okay. CNX Pharma. So we had discussed this a little bit detail. We talked about a potential flag here, but as you can see, given the way the market has behaved now, I don't think there's any place to hide. 12,000 on the pharma index or the CNX Pharma is quite possible, right? Yeah. Lastly, PSU banks, should have seen it before, but even that has broken down quite a lot. If you were to put the bank Nifty and the PSU banks next to each other, you'd see that today's fall is quite. As we've mentioned this before, if you go back, you remember that we said if the market turns weak, then the PSU banks would be the ones that you could look at shorting. Any rise actually today was used by the more informed folks to actually go short on the market. Okay. Right, and we're back to the Nifty. So I think overall one thing that's very, very clear on the Nifty is, where do we have two? Sorry. Is across the board, all sectors have turned down, right? If you have any other points of view, etc., please do share them right now. Right. So the other news, if you want to add news, is this is not news. So we've had certain bills get passed in the Parliament, the land acquisition. Right, and then the insurance bill, all that, and in spite of this, so it looks like the market's mood has distinctly turned. So something we mentioned about last week, that in spite of a budget and RBI rate cut, we didn't see markets holding higher, and it's been confirmed this week with the various bills also being passed, especially that land bill, where really no change has happened in terms of what the government plans to do, just some cosmetic changes, as you probably read about. In spite of that, we've got the markets moving down. So I think the markets are no longer looking, it's a certain just time frame or rather mood of the markets that they're not really going to listen to anybody or anything. So I think what we'll do is look at the Nifty and quickly do a review of what happened, because I think some of the discussions we had last week are really pertinent now. So if you look at ACC, you can see that this is something we mentioned not last week but the week before, that there was the squeezer stop here, the three similar highs there, and how that really proved to be a strong resistance and how the market has turned down from that. And you can see that this uptrend line, has broken, and quite clearly I think next 1600 is definitely on the cards as far as ACC is concerned, and once that breaks, then even 1500 and the 200-day moving average is here. Do remember that last week we talked about just conjecture about a possible 15% correction that could happen. So you're talking about Nifty at 7,500, and well, that's if that thing follows through of the weakness in the market, then all these stocks could see much lower levels, and the support of 200-day moving average is sort of something you could look at, and if that breaks, then further down moves are quite possible, right? So that is ACC. Ambuja Cement, you can see that as good or as bad a shape, more or less very similar. I would say Ambuja Cement is probably headed to 240. Okay, so something I forgot to mention. So the view is clearly short on the market, right? Really, there is no question of having a long view. Okay. Uh, so you should either be looking at closing long positions and or shorting specific stocks. So cements are a short, and so Ambuja could easily fall to 245, maybe even 240. Asian Paints so used to have some strength and continues to show some strength, but this is something I want you to observe. So Asian Paints looking at support at around 800 rupees. It's got a sort of triple bottom here, but the market is clearly very heavy on the top, and you're going to see some selling that happens at higher levels. So given that, I think you could look at this as a sort of sideways formation. It is now taking support at 800. There's a uptrend line there, but if 800 breaks, that's almost 8-9 month uptrend line that could break down, and then quite possibly 750, even 700 are nice targets on the short side. One could go short with a stop loss at around 835, 840, and once that level of especially 770 breaks, then 750, 700 are distinct possibilities. Axis Bank. So I think in one of the mentorship programs we were talking about Axis Bank support at around 600, and that was I think on Monday, and that's clearly broken, and once that broke, you can see how it has come to that trend line so beautifully today. Okay, sorry. And the point is that once that trend line breaks, then 550 on Axis Bank is a clear possibility, and once 550 breaks, then 525, even 500 at Axis Bank is something you should look forward to. You could short this again with a stop loss at around 595. 600 is definitely a good stop loss. I would say even 580 could be a good stop loss. Yeah. Bajaj Auto. So we had spoken about Bajaj Auto last week, and we said should be shorted. And well, that's as you can see, this is where we were last week, or rather, that's where we were at this line of around 2,120. And 3 to 4 days at least, or 2 days at least, you would have tested your nerves. But in the last 3 days, you got some really good profits. You can definitely expect this to go to 2,000 rupees. And as you can see, the fall is now accelerating. All right. So the downtrend line is steeper, and if 2,000 rupees breaks, which is something that is quite a high possibility right now, then 1850 is a possibility. So any bounce to maybe 2100 should be used to short Bajaj Auto. Just to put perspective back, if you remember, we spoke about I think Bobby sent us a report talking about how two-wheeler sales had fallen, and we talked about the consequences of that, and that was I think about 3 weeks back, right, Bobby? Just let me know if I'm wrong. And the consequences are, the fundamental side, the business side, the monsoon side, the unseasonal rain side, and then the rural. Okay, so that was on Feb 26th, yeah, about 3 weeks back. Thanks. All adding to the downside pressure on the stock. So don't be surprised if we see lower levels now. Bank of Baroda. Sorry, something wrong. Something is wrong with my data. I'll check it later. Bharti. So one exception has been Bharti, a complete shocker. Some news about how the spectrum charges were not the telecom spectrum going through, not being as expensive as perhaps the market thought, or at least that's what the reason is attributed to be. Well, what's one thing very clear is, however, that you've got some massive volumes on the buying of the stock. You can see that these are volumes that were not there for even maybe 2 years, right? So there's some really very significant buying that is happening. So it's gone from 350 to 400 in super quick time. Obviously we missed the bus, unless you were tracking this on Monday and then went in on Tuesday and things like that. Uh, but I would say, given the overall weakness in the market, do not jump into this. I wouldn't recommend shorting it at all. However, I would say that just wait and watch, and there will be a correction at some point, maybe till about 380, and at that time it will really be a good time to perhaps pick up Bharti. Also note that Bharti as a stock actually has not really done much for several years now. So this is the multi-year picture weekly chart, and really strength in it will be only above 450. So if you are an investor, then look for a cool off, and once it crosses 450 you should definitely be jumping into that stock, right? So it's really interesting. Quite honestly, I'm surprised with Reliance Jio not yet hitting the market. It was supposed to have done that by now. Not sure what's going on there, but it'd be interesting to see once Reliance Jio is out how the telecom stocks are going to react to that new competition. Next, BHEL, capital goods. So as we already know, it had broken down on the index quite well. And you can see that if we extend this breakdown continued on Monday itself. And today, again, the beauty of technical analysis, how it went there almost to the trend line and then got beaten down. 250 goes, then 245 on BHEL, definitely it is. Yeah. BPCL, so sort of double, triple top here on BPCL, not able to break out at all, right? However, very low volumes, which is very interesting. Um, yeah, so you have a negative MACD crossover, and the fall is happening on very, very low volumes, which is a little bit of a which is definitely an interesting phenomenon, and that's the price to watch out for on BPCL now, 700. Given the very low volumes on BPCL, I wouldn't say you should be shorting this. Watch out for lower levels to buy. And like I said, fundamentally these are all companies which would be much higher in the years ahead. And as from an investor's point of view, this fall should be perhaps we used to accumulate the stock. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So don't short it because the volumes are so low, but otherwise just we'll just have to hold on to it and watch for lower levels to enter long. Cane, so cane went up, and now this is where if you go and look at the crude oil charts, the crude oil had sort of stabilized there, and cane went up, and but then crude oil has of late in the last week come down again. And then if this breaks down at 220, which it looks like, then I think gain is headed to 200 rupees. So another good shot that you could look at on Kane, and once below it's 220, then 200 is a distinct possibility. Then Cipla, so we have Cipla, which was a strong contender for longs last week, and well, today I think the story is clearly different, and it's breaking down. Let's see the volumes, low volumes, right? And good, but however could go to 670. So pharma has as a sector is strong, but clearly not a good buy at this point. Again, don't short Cipla, but look for it to settle down at lower volumes at maybe around 666. Well, that's the devil's number, isn't it? And maybe that time we can look at going long on it. Coal India, so at a very, very important trend line, and if Coal India breaks, then it's definitely lower levels. Notice how it went to 370, the resistance level, and it comes to, once it breaks down at the current price at around 360, and 355 is a definite possibility, right? Also note this up move that happened. I think this was after the FPO, how it went the stock to that 400 resistance zone and turned down from there. So various technical parameters to track, and once this breaks, then 365 would be the next target. DLF, yeah, so DLF of course is an exception. What happened to volumes? Oh, okay. All right. So DLF went up on excellent volumes today, and that's because of the news about the promoters or the people who had been banned from approaching the capital markets. That ban got overturned by the courts, but as you can see, he went up, went to this sort of resistance zone here, and basically just retracted from that. So there's nothing fundamental or technical that would have changed with the company. Just says, the reason it would have gone up is because now if the company can approach the markets, then their debt overhang that they have could come down in terms of raising equity to pay off debt, which in the long term is definitely good. So from a fundamental perspective, it's a good development. From a technical perspective, one should buy only if that level breaks out or if the market settles down. So at this point, 150 might be a good price to look at, but just hold on for now. A lot of volatility today, as you can see. The high low 162 to 145. That's 20 bucks. That's quite a lot. That's what, more than 10% volatility in a day, right? So let that settle down, and then we can take a more concerted view on that. Dr. Reddy's, so big red candle. This support line clearly broken, and once this breaks, then I think 3250 is something that Dr. Reddy's could go down to. Not very good volumes, but still I think the size of the candle is something to watch out for. 3300, 3250 is a lower target. GAIL, so Gas Authority of India, breakdown. It was already in a downtrend, might take support at 370, right? As you can see, so pharma had low volumes. Now other stocks are also having low volume breakdowns, and 370 is a level it could perhaps take support. That's pretty multi-year support that we're talking about. I will have to wait and watch. Since it's pretty close, this is not something you want to short very quickly right now, since the targets are and you don't really have a good stop loss on this. 370 as a target would not be worth it. Okay, so interesting that gold also breaks down today, right? So, and you can see that gold is at a multi-year support, and that is extremely important. If this support breaks down 2400, it's at 2391, so sort of broken down, then gold could easily fall another 10% to 2200. We've been advising for several weeks, a few months now, that gold should definitely not be bought. So watch out for this breakdown, and if you have gold Bs or invested, then definitely exit. Grasim. Alright, so Grasim was a buy recommendation, but I think looks like we have to definitely revise that view now, and it's gone down on good volumes today. So Grasim is definitely a short now, and 3750, 3760 is a good stop loss, and especially once 3600 breaks, then 3500 on Grasim is a very distinct possibility. So how some longs have become shorts. You can see HCL Tech going up, life high at 2000 odd, not able to break out of that from February, and today on you could say rising volumes. You can see the moving average on the volumes going up has come down. So another stalwart which was sort of leading the market or trying to hold the market up, at least having a red candle, and we got 2000 here, and if 2000 breaks, then I think no support all the way till 1950. Nice shot with a stop loss. This or if you are into options, I think you should just buy the 2000 put on HCL Tech and just ride it for the rest of the month, right? Okay, so yeah, HDFC. So that was also something we said, consider going long last week. Held out actually quite well compared to the other stocks that we have seen, other charts that we have seen, continues to actually show strength in my opinion. And not having, why do I say strength? Because it's not falling with the sort of moves relative to how the other stocks have come down. So I would say don't short this, but watch, and in case it comes down to lower levels of 1250, one could consider buying it, right? So still showing strength. Most likely it will not go up in a hurry, but you have to wait for that base to form before you enter long on HDFC. So HDFC is not a short, remains a long at uh, on dips. HDFC Bank sort of double top there, and you can see in the moving average is a sort of turning pattern, and you can clearly see that there's absolutely no strength at all in the indicators. However, the volumes are not saying anything at this point, and it could be this way or that way. Tough to say. So that's the level to watch out for on HDFC Bank, and once that breaks down, then 1000 is a distinct possibility. So again, if you are into the options, I would say you could look at buying the 1000 rupee put. It's out of the money and could make you a good amount of money if that breaks down in the next 1 week, right? Okay. Hero Motors. Okay, so Hero Motors was the preferred short compared to Bajaj Auto last week, but it has taken some support at that 2600 level, but today you can see that it just got beaten down again, just extending the exact same trend line we had previously. And the reason we were cautious about the short at that time was the um, uh, bullish divergence which was there. So those of us who know indicators would know what I'm talking about. All right. Okay. Right. And then so this was there, and on the account of that is where we could say this up move happened. But today the down move has happened, and that's happened, well, not with very great volumes, but if you go back, just a keyboard something shortcut bug, I would like to put back Bajaj Auto. So let me see if I can do. Okay, one second. This is going to be a pain, but yeah. So if you look at this Bajaj Auto, fell on higher volumes, but uh, not so much Hero Motors, right? So Bajaj Auto here volume, because of this some bulk trade here, the all your volume picture is not very visible. So anyhow, that was the view. I'm just putting things in perspective about what we discussed last week, and once this uh, um, move down on Hero Motors happens, then I think we're looking at levels at least to 2550, and once that breaks, then 2500. Hindalco, so wow, we were hoping for support on that, but well, right from Monday, it has just been going down, 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 down. Some bounce happened at that 130 multi-year level, as you can see. Right, so that's the level right from 2003, and right now things have just turned really, really bad for across the board. And once 130 breaks, then 110, 110, 115 is a definite possibility, and one could look at shorting this with a very nice stop loss around 135, or let it break this level of 128, short there with a stop loss of 132, and then it could fall all the way to 120, 120. Pretty good risk reward ratio if you ask me. Hindustan Unilever, so not sure what's cooking in this stock, but something was definitely cooking. Just went up really nicely, did a consolidation here, but now the weakness is evident. Though this move that happened here happened on good volumes, as you can see, and this move down really has happened on really poor volume. So, sorry, 900 is a possibility, though I would not be in a hurry to short this. Volumes below average, and still having long-term strength. I think all the other stocks like Hindalco are the ones you should be, and cements are what you should be shorting. ICICI Bank, what can you say? At a very, very important support level, trend line, not significantly low volumes like you see in the pharma stocks. Therefore, a breakdown of that is easily taking this to 315 and then 310. Could short this with a nice stop loss around 240, 245, and the breakdown will take it to 320, right? Okay. Okay. IDFC, well, that's also broken down. I've been saying one thing about IDFC for months, as you all know, which is don't do trading on this. Just look at this as a long-term investment, and I reiterate that IDFC Bank that will get spun off from this towards the end of this year should get you know, stocks. So just have an SIP on this and keep buying. There was some news about Sher Khan being up for sale. IDFC has a stake in Sher Khan. So if that sale happens, then maybe some sort of what do you say, cash flow comes to IDFC, which might be good for the banking side or whatever. I'm not sure. Don't know. Don't track fundamentals as much as I'd like to. So maybe 160 is a level to look at, but wait and watch. No need to be in a hurry to buy this right now, but at lower levels, definitely we consider accumulating some IDFC stock on your spot portfolio. IndusInd Bank, then so you can see it's come back to this old life high of around 875. Looks like it's going to break that down. No dramatic decrease in volume. It's on average volumes. Remember that stocks can fall on their own weight. I think it's a good example of stocks that will behave that way now. So nice stop loss at around 905, 907 I would say. And once it breaks 850, then 810, 815 is a distinct possibility on IDFC. IndusInd Bank. Infosys, oh, this is really interesting. Infosys showing some support at 2200, and today actually still a green candle, though it's like a hanging man. What you can see, however, in Infosys is that you know, they still the MACD threatening to cross over the zero line and go down is definitely not a good sign. And if Infosys breaks this support line, which is at 2175, which was again a sort of previous life high level and a resistance support sort of zone, and if that 2150 breaks, then Infosys could easily fall to 2200. So the taking of the support of Infosys here really wouldn't read too much into it, and you've got 2250, I think, which is going to act as a resistance at this point. Watch out for the breakdown. If 2150 breaks, then further lower levels are quite possible. ITC, so notice one thing. So this was a big fall because of the increase in, you know, tax on cigarettes. Keep doing it every year. And after falling down, went sideways. 2 weeks of consolidation there, an attempt to take it back up. And actually, that, if you look carefully, that happened on slightly higher volumes, right? And then what's interesting is that, you know, today's down move has just beaten this down, and it is again at a very important support level. Now, whether this is going to hold or not is going to be very interesting to watch. Remember that this is from 2013, so it's almost a 2.5 year support level that we're talking about. And if it breaks, then 315. But if it holds, then could test your patience. I wouldn't recommend buying it. I wouldn't recommend shorting it. These are stocks you wait and watch and see you know, how they perform. So this is interesting. Jindal Steel hasn't really fallen the way, say, Hindalco or some of the other metal stocks have. This big up move, still a sort of flag formation in my opinion, and clearly low volumes there. Though this low volumes are, you know, quite relative to this very high explosive volume that you saw. And I don't know about what's happening. I'm not tracking that coal auction, and I don't know if Jindal Power, Jindal Steel have anything left in that coal side. Because if there is, and if there's some more surprises, positive surprises for that, then the stock could definitely go up. So I wouldn't be in a hurry to short this. I would look at 180 as a good support, and even if it goes lower than 175, could turn out to be a good support. So watch for this level. All right, and so just wait and watch. And actually, this might be a good place to buy it. So unlike Hindalco, which is a strong short, Jindal Steel is something where you might want to pick it up on the long side if it once it goes to lower levels. It's definitely a buy once it crosses 200 on good volume. So remember that. Kotak Bank. So after a very massive run up, it's been having for 2014 to now, good 1.25 years. Nice double top there at 1450. Now clearly weak. This trend line breaks, then it is at 1250, and if that breaks, then much lower levels. No hurry to short it. There are better shorts, so just let this be for now. Bad news on LNT. So big fall. Nice big candle. All right. So that's where it is. As you can see, you know, I wasn't trying to fit anything. Just that you had this support zone, which it has come to the lower ends of, and it has done that on, I would say, high volume. It's picked up volume today. So one more thing that could go lower. 1600 levels, and would have a nice stop loss at around 1730. Okay. Lupin, amazing, still showing strength. Lupin, all the other pharma stocks low volumes. This one also low volumes. The indicators are still showing massive amounts of strength, but still I think I would not look at fresh longs. If I had Lupin, I'd probably continue to hold on to this, and maybe it's looking to touch that 2000 mark. It's at 1877 now. It'll touch the 2000 mark before it turns down. Right. M&M, this is weekly. M&M, so stuck at that 1250 level, as you can see. Autos not doing anything. Low volume, so that's really interesting. I wonder what M&M is holding on to. Remember that stocks tend to do this for exasperatingly long amounts of time, and then suddenly they will just, you know, decide to move, and you can't really predict when that could move. So you just have to wait and watch. So under the circumstances of the overall market, an up move is unlikely. So selling the 1250 call or maybe the 1300 call could be a good idea. It's definitely consolidating. You can see the Bollinger Bands converging, and you have all the moving averages all stuck up there. And once it decides what it wants to do, then I think we can get some better idea. So till now, those of you who are into options, you could, I think, look at a short strangle now. Remember, we're in the second half of the month now, so time value expiry will be good. You could, I think, write the 1300 call, and also maybe I think that writing the 1200 put would be a little risky, given the overall market. So I would say maybe write the 1150 put and the 1300 call, and just take home the time value. Maruti, okay, so that's like still sticking up there. Those little volumes happening. 3750 psychological mark, sort of double top there, and well, what do you say? I mean, just an amazing company, amazing strength, amazing stock, but definitely not the time to buy, given the overall weakness in the market. On a correction would be a good time to pick it up. NMDC. So one of the things we said about NMDC was a target of 110, which definitely did not happen. As a matter of fact, it's bounced up nicely. Let's see. So you can see a couple of things. Those of us who well versed in Doe theory will recognize the importance of this. Went down, went up on low volumes, and today got beaten down on high volumes, and that happened at the resistance level. If you pull this to the right, then sort of came there, multiple moving averages there, and I would say continue the short on this with the stop loss at a 135 and the next target 125, and 110 is still a possibility on NMDC. NTPC, very interesting. It's gone up, and today's weakness is very mild. Something has happened on NTPC yesterday. I don't know. I missed some news. I'm sure I haven't seen the newspaper for a few days, and it's gone up on really good volumes from 150 to 160. Yeah, and definitely a stock that should be bought and definitely not to be shorted. So if we look at the weekly chart, then you've got massive volumes this week. You can see on the weekly side a good consolidation from August, September last year, and I think it's now set to do something on the upside. So I would say buy NTPC. Very rare, or not rare, but don't recommend NTPC much because it just tests your patience for humongous amounts of time. But this is definitely a buy now. So if you're looking at a buying opportunity, then NTPC, it is 170, 175 is the next target. No matter what happens, even if the market comes down, NTPC is unlikely to fall. But go try and see if anybody can find some news on NTPC, what the trigger was yesterday, before, and give us some more perspective. ONGC, so you can see something that ONGC taking support at that 310 level, and the volumes are diminishing. So it's a wait and watch game that's going on, but don't ignore this resistance which is there at around 330, right? And if a bounce happens, then not really good. More or less in line with the way Kane India is behaving. All right. So that's if you notice the trend line. ONGC is clearly dependent on international oil prices for its financial performance, and that's where it is. So you can see that I've just put the outermost downtrend line that I can. It has bounced up, could go up to 320 or something, but if 310, once 310 breaks, then it's a clear short. And let's see till where. Okay, maybe it'll be at this level, who knows. Okay, definitely a short to 300. and then we'll have to review after that. So given that level is not too far down, wouldn't say aggressively short this, but if 310 breaks, then 510 rupees, or who knows, even much lower, are quite distinct possibilities. And you can see that this level around 250 is something that is very unlikely to be broken at this point. But if that happens, anyhow, that's a long time away, so let's not bother about it. Watch for the 300 breakdown, or what you could do, yeah, so here's a recommendation. Do a horizontal bearish spread on ONGC. Sell the 300 put for this month and buy the 300 put of the next month. Right, so sell the 300 March put and buy the 300 April put. Only problem is you probably not have much liquidity. It's always a problem in the Indian markets. PNB, Punjab National Bank, as you can see, took support at that 160 mark, sort of a double bottom, but not on any significant increase in volume, and today's volume has also increased a bit. Having said all that, though I'm tempted to say short, I would not say short on this. There's a very nice MACD base formation that in my opinion is something you should not ignore until and such time only till PNB breaks 160 you should short it. Otherwise just stay away from it, watch it, and we'll review later. Power grid, okay, nothing much happening, but clearly once 150 153 is nice stop loss. 145 140 could be a good target on the short side. Reliance, so Reliance so clearly the downtrend of Reliance continues to rule right from June of last year, and this up move now up coming to about 830, and you have 850 here, and the move happened on, well, normal volumes, so may not fall too much, maybe 830, but yes, a stop loss with for a short around 865 and a target of 830 is quite possible. What happened to my, it's not working this also now. Okay, so State Bank of India. Next, so wow, why is my chart like this? So the volumes are pretty normal, but you can see that the fall has happened. And this is something that we mentioned about SBI last weekend, last IMR, saying that the expected follow-on offer or rights offer or whatever the government is going to do about SBI is going to be an overhang on the markets in terms of selling pressure that's going to happen on the rest of the market, so that cash can be generated for buying SBI follow-on issue. So I'm not saying that's what's happening right now. I'm just saying that this is something we discussed, and looks like SBI is headed at least to 275, and if 275 breaks, then even 260 is a good possibility in my opinion. Now that begs the question whether the government will decide to defer the issue and say the price is not good enough and all. So you never know. They've already said that about ONGC, and they might say that about State Bank of India. So we'll have to wait and watch. Right? Okay. So good stop loss around 290, 287, and target at 275. Once 275 breaks or 270 breaks more than that, then 250 is also possible. SSLT, so well, just bounced off from that 195 level, but really nothing great in the volumes, could easily be falling to 175 in my opinion. So you could short this with the stop loss around 206. By the way, all levels given today are for the spot price. You'll have to adjust for premium discounts on the futures. 2206, 2207 is a good stop loss for a short. First target 190, not 195. 195, and 195 breaks, then 175 is a possibility. Sun Pharma. So you can see again low volumes across the board. You've seen that pharma is falling on low volumes. So at some lower levels, you're going to buy. You're going to probably find some buying happening on Sun Pharma. 1000, so the psychological mark, and once that breaks, then I think in my opinion 960 is a distinct possibility, and 160 breaks, then 120. I wouldn't be in any hurry to buy any of the pharma stocks, as I've reiterated. Having said that, there's no hurry to short them either, just better to wait and watch. Tata Motors. So Tata Motors has broken down from that symmetric triangle. It was here last week, and Tata Motors was one of our shots that we gave, strong shot. 540 is the target, first target, and I think there was a lower target. So today's down move has happened on higher volumes, so that's good. Clearly reiterating the shot with a stop loss at 575 and the first target at 545, right? And once 545 breaks, then 520, 510 is also a possibility. Tata Power. Okay, so wow, I'm not sure we had a view on Tata Power specifically, but just normal volume, and once 80 breaks, then definitely much lower levels are in the offing. I'd say just stay away from this. It's too erratic, too volatile, too much noise. You can see that even on a week that nothing much happens, you've got candles which have very long shadows, both up and down, and that's going to really mess up any trade that you could think of doing. So just leave that. Okay, so Tata Steel. So metals breaking down, but Tata Steel has gone down, but today's volumes are clearly low, and it is sitting on a very important support of 330. If any of you have any doubts about the support resistance thing, you should review today's IMR again and again and see how much those levels contribute to a stock's behavior and how reliable they can be. So there is a divergence, a positive divergence, which has been there from December, but clearly that's not doing any good for the stocks right now. As a matter of fact, the MACD is again done a negative crossover in the negative zone, so that's not good. And I would say with some caution that yeah, you could short this with a stop loss at around 337. It's at 326 now, and you're looking at 300 quite clearly happening on Tata Steel. And once 300 happens, then we will review this. TCS. Okay, so TCS also falling, but no volumes. So you could see, remember that Infi was holding its head high. TCS falling on low volume. So pharma and IT still, I think, the outperformers in the market, and our metal sector and cements and all are clearly the weak ones. Then we've got Tech Mahindra, which is also going sideways. Again, low volumes, but some pickup in volumes this week. Looks like some. Oh, I think this was on account of that Satyam result. Something happened about the case. Not sure exactly what the details were. And then Ultratech. So that's just copycat of ACC and Ambuja, as you know. Once that breaks, which it's most likely to do, then 2008-20, 2008-30 would be the target. Good stop loss. 3000 psychological mark. 3010, 3015 would be a good stop loss for a short. Low volumes, but remember that this part, this fall that happened from the life high around 3,400 to now happen on higher volumes, and I'd expect that to continue. Wipro, oh, big red one and slightly on higher volumes. Interesting. Uh, Looks like Wipro is headed to at least 620. There was some news about variable pay Wipro talked about and this, that, not sure how that panned out, but yeah, around 670 there, 650. Very good stop loss around 660, 665, and could go all the way to 620. Z Limited, interesting. Okay, so went up for some reason. Looks like just a pure technical bounce here on the 200-day moving average. Went up, but then at the resistance zone in the around the 50-day exponential moving average got beaten down again, and it's probably headed to 335 right now. Okay, so I think that's it. I mean, really uh, bearish session. So it's short across the boards except for I think pharma and IT. Everything else is looking quite weak. There is no fundamental factors, even though bills are being passed and all, which are holding the market up. And like we said, markets are fundamentally on an expensive side, so further corrections from a multi-week, multi-month perspective could easily be expected. And there are no triggers I can think of, at least for the next several, not at least several, at least 3 to 4 weeks. It's only when the annual results start coming out, then we'll see the next set of things in the stock, right? Uh, I'm not taking any things today, Bobby, sorry, because something's wrong with the keyboard shortcuts of way Metastock is working, some bug. I'll have to see what to do with that. Having So this Motherson Sumi, it did 500, did that. Oh, today on improved volume, something is definitely cooking. And in a falling market, this has continued to actually rise. So definitely showing some exceptional strength. Not sure on what account this is, but it really becomes a stock which is very difficult to recommend selling, and one should just hold on to it and accumulate more on any dips. So it could come down to 480. Volumes have definitely gone up today. Some one of churning a doji formation which is there. So this has gone to 500 and actually even higher. Could even go higher. Who knows? Next, let's say there was Arvind. I'll just do that. This is why I didn't want to not taking request to register. I have to do this drama today. Okay. Okay, so Arvind has clearly broken down, and it's broken down now on higher volumes. So if one has this, then actually when 300 broke down, that was your last exit after the uptrend broke down. But if you're having any Arvind now, then definitely do sell it. Volumes have picked up, definitely not a good sign, and could definitely go to 275, and after that we would keep this level in mind. So which brings it to about 265, right? And also to the 200-day moving average, at which point we will review again. Okay, done. So excellent. So basically not a good week. Got to look at protecting your portfolios, how you do that, whether you go light on your longs or you buy puts, or some sectors like say pharma, you look at buying at lower levels. These are things you will need to look at. But clearly, just to keep things in perspective, next few weeks don't seem to have any positive expectations as far as my reading goes. And fundamentally, markets are expensive, so don't forget that. So some correction, and after that I think it will be time to buy again. So those of us who are comfortable shorting should look at that. Otherwise, just stay away from any fresh long positions. Having said that, I do still believe that in the long term, over the next 3 to 5 year period, we're still in a bull market, and there's absolutely no question of a bear market at this point. Right? Okay. So, oh yes, one last thing. The recording might be up a little late tomorrow. I'll be traveling to Mysore to give a talk at the University of Mysore. Got invited there to have a session on risk management for agri commodities. So that's tomorrow afternoon. So I'm leaving in the morning, so I'll need to find some time there to upload. Take some 3 hours to convert this. Right. So I will send the links out, but this might get delayed tomorrow. Right. In case if I can send it earlier, I will do that. Right. Done. Are there any questions? No charts, but if there are any questions, we can have some discussion. Maybe another 5-6 minutes. Anyone? Anything?
I'm talking about, let's say, March, the next 3 weeks till March end.
The Fed rate, do you know what that date is? When is that?
It's 18th, 19th, I think it is.
Of March, is it? So that's next week?
Yeah, this next week.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Oh, okay. So
I've noticed, I told you, right, sometimes the markets will, I mean, if you're a risk taker, it's a sensible buying opportunity because sometimes things will just, like mid caps and small caps will just, some of them will just go down by like 10%, 12%, 15%.
Okay, but why
on that day?
Yeah, but why are you saying the Fed rate would be a good buying opportunity?
I mean, what I'm saying is, if it remains, if the Fed rate remains neutral or is considered positive, because what happens is that if it's not good, you can exit pretty quickly. You can keep a stop loss, like, because most of the time it opens itself. I'm just by what I've observed in the past.
So what are you expecting on the Fed? Are you expecting the rates to be increased, or I mean, do you have a view on the Fed rate first?
The news is that they're expecting it to be increased.
Okay.
But either ways, the market stops. You know, the people wait. So either ways, if you want to take a risk, if the news is bad, you can probably exit, and most likely the markets will come down.
Okay.
So I was just wondering if, besides the Fed rate, if there's any other events lined up with this week.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, the next trigger will be the annual results. But like I already said, I don't think there's much to expect. Yeah, I don't think there's anything much to expect on that. So don't have much to comment on that. I mean, EPS going up significantly in 3 months, that's something that is hardly a legitimate expectation. So apart from that, I don't know. Anybody else has anything? Any pointers? Any thoughts? Do pitch in. No? Okay, thanks for that, Bobby. I mean, good to know that at least someone is tracking those news. And so, thank you, Arman. Good night. Balki, you just came in time as we are closing, actually. I hope the music concert was good. So, yeah. So, we'll close for the day. So, have a good weekend. Thank you all. And we'll catch up. And like I said, I'll send the recording as soon as I can. Right? Thank you and good night.